1,998 earthquakes. 2 exceeded a magnitude 6. Unusual movement in the global unrest. Kick back, folks, and relax. This is your weekend report. Hey folks. I hope you have had an awesome week. I want to thank you for tuning in for the earthquake report. For the record, today is August the 14th, 2016. This video will speak of earthquake data spanning from August the 6th through August the 12th. It was on this day in 1968, when a 7.4 struck the Manembaya Bay area in Indonesia. Slipping of the fault resulted in decreased elevations by as much as 6.5 feet to 9.8 feet along the coast. This earthquake created a tsunami with wave heights between 26 and 33 feet, which soon traveled on to Sulawesi. The most extensive waves reached 980 feet inland, destroying 700 homes and killing around 200 people. Gah! That is wild. This is what's happening. It was the hottest day of the summer in New York City on Saturday. The high hit a blistering 96 degrees, but adding in the humidity, it felt like 110 outside. Temperatures are expected to decline over the next few days, however, that can't come soon enough for New Yorkers who lost power, as there are more than 4,000 outages for New York City and Westchester County. People are also being reminded to conserve electricity by turning off appliances when they are not needed, by setting air conditioners to 78 degrees or higher, and by using energy-intensive appliances like dishwashers, washing machines and dryers late at night, or early in the morning. 3 more people in Florida have tested positive for Zika caused by local mosquitoes, including another person who does not live in the 1 square mile area believed to be the hub of local transmission, state officials said on Friday. Florida now has 28 cases of non-travel related Zika, a virus that has spread rapidly across Latin America and the Caribbean. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has issued a warning for pregnant women to avoid this area of Miami. Zika has been shown to cause birth defects, including microcephaly, which causes severe developmental problems. I wonder how long before this spreads to surrounding cities and states. President Hussein Dung Beetle Obama praised his administration on Saturday for the progress it has made combating climate change over the past 7.5 years, but pressed Americans to step up their resolve to save the environment in his final 6 months in office. Obama said in his weekly White House address, "There's still much more to do. But there's no doubt that America has become a global leader in the fight against climate change, and if we keep pushing and leading the world in the right direction, there's no doubt that, together, we can leave a better, cleaner, safer future for our children." I wonder why Lord Obama pressures American citizens so much when countries like China continue to destroy their environment and contribute substantially to the world climate degradation? By the way guys, what is your take on so-called global warming and climate change? Post down below and let me know. Finally, no matter what you think of the game, No Man's Sky has gripped the games industry in a rare frenzy with its promises of limitless space exploration. The game launched Friday on PC and on the PlayStation 4 earlier in the week, and although things were a bit rocky, No Man's Sky is already setting records, swiftly becoming Steam's most successful launch of the year. Have you played this game yet? If so, I would like to hear your thoughts on it. I have been playing it and I have to say that it is awesome. Truly awesome. You can view these articles and more at our Facebook page. Feel free to zoom over them when you have a moment. You can find the link in the description. Alright. Earthquake report time. Here we go. As mentioned, we finished last week off with 1,998 earthquakes. This, along with today's and yesterday's quakes, brings our monthly total to 3,946. For historical reference, a year ago today, we clocked in 339 earthquakes. The strongest to strike the planet then was a 5.7 that struck New Zealand. What an interesting week this has been. As previously stated, we experienced 2 earthquakes that fell within or exceeded the magnitude 6 category. These being a 7.2 that struck New Caledonia and a 6.2 that hit Fiji on Friday, August the 12th. The New Caledonia quake was originally measured at 7.6, but was quickly downgraded. No casualties were experienced because there are no populated islands near the epicenter. Fortunately, both events failed to generate a tsunami. Since the 7.2 earthquake, New Caledonia has been reeling with aftershocks. 12 in total, with varying intensities ranging from a 5.4 to a 4.6. As previously mentioned, we had 25 magnitude 5+ earthquakes strike. These earthquakes were centered mostly along the Ring of Fire, with the exception of a 5.2 that struck China on August the 12th, a 5.1 that hit the Pacific Antarctic Ridge on the 7th, and a 5.0 that struck Svalbard on the 12th. Within the Ring of Fire, the most notable being a 5.1 that struck Upper Lake, California on August the 10th. This earthquake was reported Tuesday evening, 11 miles from Upper Lake, according to the U.S. Geological Survey. The trembler occurred at 7:57 p.m. Pacific Time at a depth of 11.2 miles. 24 minutes after this earthquake, a magnitude 3.0 aftershock was also reported. Viewers from as far as the South Bay reported feeling the quake. One individual stated, "I was just sitting on the sofa. I actually heard the earthquake coming, and then it pushed really hard, very similarly to the 1989 earthquake where it was like being pushed in a swing. Like being pushed back and forth." There were no immediate reports of damage, but one viewer sent in a photo of a cracked pool in Lakeport. Firefighters were battling a small wildfire nearby. Residents and business owners in the region reported swaying light fixtures and scared pets, but no damage or injuries. We have registered 87 earthquakes that fell within the magnitude 4 range and affected areas primarily along the Ring of Fire. The most noteworthy earthquakes in this scale include a series of quakes that hit Oklahoma. These being a 4.0 on August the 12th that shook Janesville and a 4.0 that hit Luther on August the 10th. The remaining earthquakes struck, for the most part, locations here in the States. We'll start with Hawaii, which registered 45. All of which were minor with the exception of a 3.0 that struck Pahala on Friday, the 12th. Swarm activity was limited to the usual locations. Alaska clocked in 322 earthquakes. This breaks down to nearly 46 per day. The strongest to strike was a 4.0 in Anchor Point. Washington registered 35. The most intense being a 2.5 that hit Mazama. The average magnitude for all earthquakes to strike Washington was only a 0.9. Oregon's earthquake activity increased substantially when compared to the previous week. In fact, we experienced a 73% increase. 15 earthquakes occurred in Mount Hood Village and 14 from Lakeview. The strongest registered was a 3.4, which occurred off the coast of Oregon on Saturday the 6th. California continues to experience unrest. In total, the sunny state clocked in 889 earthquakes just last week. The most powerful experienced was the previously mentioned 5.1 in Upper Lake. Not to be left out is a noteworthy 3.8 in Rancho Tehama Reserve, a 3.4 in Soledad, a 3.3 in Borrego Springs, a 3.3 in King City, and a 3.1 in Ferndale. The majority of these earthquakes, interestingly enough, occurred in or around dormant volcanoes and fracking wells. Nevada also experienced an uptick in earthquakes last week. 361 earthquakes in total, which equates to roughly a 46% increase when compared to the earthquakes registered a week ago. The strongest experienced was a 2.9 that hit Hawthorne. Speaking of Hawthorne, 64% of these earthquakes actually originated from this area. Idaho registered 4 all week. The most intense to strike was a 2.5 in Cascade. Montana experienced 37. The most intense was a 3.2 in Whitehall. Interesting. Wyoming clocked in 2. The strongest experienced was a 1.8 that hit Jackson. Utah registered 10. The strongest reported was a 2.0 in Beaver. This just so happens to be a location of interest. Beaver is a city in Beaver County, Utah, United States. The population was 3,112 at the 2010 census. This area is riddled with history. In fact, indigenous peoples lived in this area for thousands of years, as shown by archaeological evidence. A number of identified prehistoric sites have been found in Beaver County, dating to the Archaic and Sevier-Fremont periods. A prehistoric obsidian quarry site has been identified in the nearby Mineral Mountains. Not only does this area have quite the past, but notable natives and residents have sprung from Beaver. This includes the notorious outlaw, Butch Cassidy, and Philo Farnsworth, inventor of several electrical components which made television possible and who was the first to create tabletop nuclear fusion. What a great place! Oklahoma clocked in 15. The strongest experienced were the two 4.0s previously mentioned. Along with these quakes, we registered a noteworthy 3.9 and two 3.5s in Perry, a 3.2 in Luther, and a 3.2 in Helena. Kansas experienced 8. The strongest being a 2.7 in Rose Hill and 2.7 in Caldwell. The New Madrid seismic fault experienced movement. This includes 7 earthquakes that struck Missouri. The strongest there being a 2.7 that hit East Prairie and a 2.2 in Caruthersville. Not to be left out, Tennessee clocked in a 1.3 in Wrigley and a 2.4 in Tiptonville. The North American Craton experienced quite a bit movement as well. We'll begin in Jonesville, Virginia. This area registered a 1.9, Mount Gray Shamrock, West Virginia clocked in a 2.3, and 2 minor quakes were experienced in New Jersey. These being a 0.5 in Butler and a 0.9 in Warnock. Finally, in the United States, Illinois has experienced 3 rather rare and unusual earthquakes last week. These being a 2.4 in McLeansboro, a 2.4 in Mount Carmel, and a 2.3 in Albion. It appears as though the source of these earthquakes, believe it or not, is hydraulic fracking wells. That's just great. Our Canadian pals to the north experienced seismic movement as well. 9 earthquakes in total. The most notable include a 2.1 and a 2.2 in Princeton. And that's it for the earthquake report. If you experienced an earthquake today, or if you would simply like to chat, please post down below. I would like to hear from you. Make certain to like and subscribe. Share if you feel inclined. Also, if you like the social media thing, you can link to us via the standard allotted social sites in the description. We'll end this report with a video from our favorite star.